Hi guys, I'm Widowmaker, and welcome to Know Your Role, Episode 5, Main DPS, or Hitscan DPS, whatever you want to call it. If you're new to this series, I recommend that you at least watch the first episode, as it includes an introduction to the series as a whole, but this video will go over the role as Main DPS, as well as the types of characters played by this role, and the characters in those subcategories. But before we start, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, why not leave a like and subscribe? It doesn't cost you anything and it helps my channel grow. Okay, your role as a main DPS is to be the primary threat of your team. Now, this is a bit broad, which is for a reason. Since there are a broad range of characters a main DPS player will play, the definition of primary threat will change. For some characters, it is constant mid-range damage, for others, it's insane close-range damage, and for others, it's just long-range one-shots. So, the primary threat can just be classified as the most damage or kill potential. Your job is to play your character's strengths and make potential damage or kill threats a reality. In a fight, your job is as simple as deal as much damage and kill as many people as possible. Now this sounds simple, but it can get more complex as you need to survive the threats from the other team, and since your job is so one-dimensional, if you just can't deal damage or find any kills, you are almost useless to your team. But, as I have said, there are many types of characters that a main DPS will have to utilize. In general, we can create 3 different subcategories to classify everyone under. These 3 categories are snipers, mid-range, and flankers/close quarters. To be honest, I don't really think I need to go into extreme detail on these categories, but I'll do a short summary for each. Snipers. They are long-ranged, pick-oriented characters with low DPS but insane burst damage. Mid-range. Medium-range damage monsters. They will deal constant damage throughout the fights. And flankers/close range. They get in close and use the insane damage and mobility to shred people who get too close or they get too close too. So that's the categories explained. Let's go into what characters fall into each of the character, going one category at a time. Let's start with snipers. There are only 2 characters that fall under this category, being Widowmaker and Ashe. Widowmaker is the sniper of Overwatch. While Ashe and Hanzo can both be classified as snipers, Widow truly takes the role to heart. With Widow, if you don't find the headshots and only body shot, most supports can out DPS you. And as such, to find value in selecting Widowmaker, you need to hit headshots and eliminate people from fights. You need to stay as far away from the conflict as possible, as you only have 175 health. And let's not forget that Widow is the only character with a unique headshot multiplier of 2.5 times instead of the 2 times, encouraging even more to aim for headshots like a true sniper. Now Ashe does share a lot of similarities with the mid-range DPS characters, but she has more range and less DPS to fit in that category. With Ashe, you look to always be out of reach of the enemy team. If they can group up, punish them with dynamite. If they split, punish them by picking them off. You are a really hard character to kill due to your range and coach gun, but you have less pick potential than Widow and less DPS than other mid-range characters. Talking about mid-range characters, let's move on to the mid-range threats. There are 3 characters that fall under this category. These characters are McCree, Soldier 76, and Bastion. All these characters excel at putting damage down range, and will always be a constant damage threat. They don't have the pick potential that the sniper has, but with their high DPS, it will be a very quick kill if they can hit their shots. McCree is the best mid-range threat if you need the stun that he has. This stun is extremely effective at keeping threats away and punishing them if they get too close to you. With the recent changes to give him 225 health, it also gave him a surprising amount of survivability, and is the best option to try and shut down dive comps. Soldier 76 is probably the most flexible out of all the mid-range characters. You can slot him into any comp or against any comp, and there will always be a way that he can play that will allow him to get damage value. I believe it is also important to remember that he is the only mid-ranged character to have mobility with his sprint, and his biotic field also provides a lot of survivability and independence that other characters lack. Bastion is one of the picks that you almost never see, and for a good reason. Even with the highest DPS in the game, the lack of mobility and the general one-dimensional design of the character leads him to be one of the worst picks. However, in the past when he was meta, the raw damage and ability to delete anything and anyone in front of him created a damage threat that no one would dare challenge. Finally, onto the close-range damage threats. In this category, we have Tracer and Reaper. This category wants to be right up in the target's face and then proceed to dump an insane amount of damage to anyone who couldn't escape. Tracer is by far the most popular character from the main DPS role as a whole, which is due to her ability to be the slipperiest character in the game, and has the potential to burst any non-tank down in less than a second. She uses her mobility to flank and get in close before going to town on backline threats, and if required, she can really make the tanks hurt. Reaper is a frontline killing machine. Due to his lifesteal, as long as he's shooting something healthy, he will stay pretty healthy. No tanks wins fights against a Reaper, and he will set the tone for what space is available for the other team to contest. Okay, with all the characters talked about, let's just do a quick summary for each character. Widowmaker, long range one-shots and low DPS. Ashe, long to medium range constant damage, hard to kill, lower DPS than mid range. McCree, very hard to dive, only main DPS with hard CC and constant damage pressure. Soldier, very flexible, good mobility and independent. Bastion, very immobile, extreme DPS. Tracer, way too hard to kill, insane mobility, insane burst and respectable damage on tanks. Reaper, tank shredder and brawler. Your role on main DPS is to be the primary threat for your team, whether that be raw damage or peak potential. All you need to worry about is you hitting your shots and staying alive, which makes it a pretty nice role to start playing for the newer players, but also it has so much potential to grow. Anyway guys, this is the end of the video, which means that we only have one more role to go over in the series, and it'll probably be the largest just due to the massive hero pool that flex DPS players need to have, but I'll get to that issue when I get to it. Till next, see you then.
My phone lights up, but it's never you. I can't help but feel so lonely.